everyone. This is Colleen Lemma, Starseed Astrologer and Spiritual Messenger, here with my new Empowered Moments video for the month of October 2022. Can you believe we're heading into the last 3 months of the year of 2022? I can't. So for this month's monthly Empowered Moments video, we're going to be using the Syrian Starseed Tarot by Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha for the main message for everyone. Your special message card this month, depending on your stone of choice, is going to be coming from the Yin Yang Oracle deck by Stellara. So this is going to be a powerful month of energies, as we'll soon find out. And there's lots of important things going on this month. But as far as doing our empowered moment, before we delve into the crystals and the astrology of the month, I think I'm going to choose focusing that empowered moment around the idea that Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, the planet of empowerment and transformation, is turning back to direct motion early on in the month. So let's go ahead and get settled in our seats, and let's close our eyes. Relax your body, yet sit up straight. Clear your mind of all thoughts, and put your feet flat on the floor with your legs uncrossed so there's a clear flow of energy. Visualize in your mind golden white light shining down all around you, and that's the golden white light of universe, source God, all that is, great spirit, whatever you want to call that higher power. And as that golden white light shines down upon you, it's filled with unconditional love, compassion, forgiveness and healing, protection and guidance. Let's take a couple of deep breaths, breathing in that golden white light into every cell of our body. And as we exhale, just letting go of all that our body, mind, and soul no longer needs. We've been through quite a year so far of 2022. And it seems to be ramping up here as we near the last quarter. And in actuality, we're going to be heading towards another set of eclipses later on this month and in the early part of November. So we know there's more change and transition to come. So for right now, let's focus our intention on the planet Pluto. However you want to visualize or feel or sense that planet's energy, or if you wish to call it a planetoid. I wish to continue to call it a planet and not demote its status like some astrologers. It packs a powerful punch, and it rules the subconscious realm, what lies hidden underneath. It rules that kind of volcanic bubbling up of energy. It rules death and rebirth, transformation, regeneration, big changes, and empowerment. And let's focus our energy on owning our own power. Maybe some of you have felt disempowered by situations or circumstances lately, or disempowered by belief systems or patterns that you seem to repeat in this life as a soul. So let's for a moment visualize that we're searching out that inner power that we do have, finding where it is within our bodies, our minds, our energy field, or finding where it may be even outside of us if we think that it's been led astray or lost. And as we locate the essence of our own personal power, I want you to grab it and claim it, own it, bring it into your being, breathe it into your being. Breathe in that personal power. Breathe in your empowerment. You are a powerful soul of the universe, and through your thoughts and your visions, your emotions, your beliefs, you create your own reality. You create the path you want to follow, and you can redirect that path at any time. So again, find the essence of your personal power and breathe it in. Metaphorically grab it up and hold it close to your heart. Breathe it into every cell of your body. Ask for an activation of your personal power as you move forward on the next step of your highest and most important destiny path. As you move forward throughout the rest of this year and beyond, let's take one last deep healing, empowering breath. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes, returning to this present moment, this present empowered moment. And we're going to take a look at our stones of choice for that special message card a little bit later. So I thought, wow, it's a powerful month, other things happening here besides Pluto. So what powerful stones can I use? And I just thought, you know what, and I probably have used these at some point in the past in videos, but I just grabbed my stones that I often meditate with. There's 4 stones, so I usually, use a pair of one or a pair of the other. So those are the stones that are your stone of choice for the month. And this one is a raw piece of labradorite. So this is one of the stones that I hold in my hand. You can see as I turn it around, it's a raw piece, so it's not polished, but you can see that reflection of that wonderful kind of blue color here on both sides, both faces of this stone. A little green also in there. The labradorite is a powerful protection stone. It's one of the powerful protection stones. It's great for transformation. It strengthens your willpower. It promotes psychic abilities. And it helps to banish fears and insecurities. Okay? And the stone that I normally use when I meditate with this is stone number 2, actually. But I also hold this along with the labradorite. But this one is selenite. Now, this is a nice cut and polished round piece of selenite, and in actuality, it used to be a little bit more clear than it is. You can almost see some kind of golden yellow color in there, and you might want to think that that's a natural aspect of this piece of selenite, but it's because I've held it and used it in meditation for so long with frankincense essential oils on my hand, or some sort of resin. Sometimes I use like a dragon's blood resin, or even frankincense or sandalwood resin, which is like that hard crumbly stuff that you can kind of use as an incense. But I sometimes crumble it up and I use it and I go like this with my hands, and then I hold my stone. So after time, this selenite has kind of absorbed that resin color into it. But the selenite, this is great for purification. It's great for universal consciousness, so connecting us to universal love and consciousness. It helps to give us clarity of thought. It helps with bringing in our sense of integrity. It also helps with psychic development, and it helps us to access past and future lives or lifetimes. So that's that piece of selenite. Now, the last stone of choice is actually a pair of stones. It's the same stone, but slightly different. These are both Lemurian seed crystals. You can see that this one's a little bit more clear with a point. This one's a little bit more milky colored. It's actually still pretty clear, actually, but it's got a flat top. So we've got a masculine Lemurian seed crystal, and we've got a feminine Lemurian seed crystal, and I hold them together when I meditate. So the Lemurian seed crystals, let's see if I can hold this up again for you. The Lemurian seed crystals are programmed with the consciousness and information from the ancient times of Lemuria. Okay. Helps with clairvoyance, and it helps with telepathy. It helps to attain higher knowledge and wisdom, and it aids in our spiritual evolution and growth. Okay. So again, your stones of choice are the labradorite, the selenite, or the Lemurian seed crystals. Okay, so powerful stones to think about. Let's start with the numerology of the month of October. Let me see if I can pick up the pace a little bit here. So to get the numerology vibration for the month of October, we take the universal year for 2022, which is a 6. We add it to the month of October, which is the 10th month. And what's 10 plus 6 is 16. Well, some of you out there that know a little bit about numerology know that number 16 is a karmic number. It's one of the 4 karmic numbers that we study in numerology. So karmic number 16, it's about big changes, usually in our external circumstances, in our situational circumstances. So things changing outside of us that may be sometimes quite abrupt, maybe not so abrupt, but usually pretty massively big and important. And everything that I could say about karmic number 16 is going to be almost very similar in aspect to the Tower card in the tarot, which is it's actually Major Arcana 16. So let's just talk about it, because that'll explain karmic number 16 in numerology, because it is like the Tower card. You can see the Tower card here from the Syrian Starseed Tarot. It's got this nice tall building. There's fire coming out the windows and off the top, and there's a person kind of either they have jumped or they have fallen out of the building or out of the tower. We've got a dark sky. We've got a bolt of lightning. And now this Tower card, some Tower cards aren't quite so ominous. This one is a little bit darker, so to speak. It doesn't have to be scary, but what the Tower card does mean is that the structures that we've lived with in our lives for a long time, or that we think is solid and secure beneath our feet, all of a sudden, like the rug gets pulled out from under you. All of a sudden, the lightning bolt, maybe it's a lightning bolt of clarity, maybe it's a lightning bolt of change. Usually, it's a little sudden and unexpected. Again, in other cases, we might feel something building up, but then the initiation of the lightning bolt, the change, might come boom, like all of a sudden one day it's just there. So what it does is it takes this structure, this tower, this building that we thought was safe and secure and never going to topple over, and all of a sudden it's on fire, and all of a sudden it's starting to crumble at its base. And so this is about, again, our external circumstances and situations that are hugely changing in our life. And this is so we can rebuild something better. Now, that could mean that old situations are going to become no longer as we're being redirected by universal forces on our path. It could mean we choose to make a change, that we're consciously making a decision to redirect ourselves and make a change. That might make things a little bit easier, because if something's not in alignment with us anymore, every once in a while, the universe comes along and will help us to realign, right? Will help us to realign with our truth and with our purpose and with the direction that we're supposed to be going with. It's like going down a path, coming to a fork in the road, taking one of the forks and realizing, hey, this is going in the wrong direction. This isn't the way I'm supposed to be going. I can see or feel or I know and intuit that this is leading me away from my true purpose, or away from my true path, or away from my true authenticity. But you don't know how to get back. Like maybe you've taken many forks or something down this path, and all of a sudden you're a little bit lost, and you're like, how do I get back? Well, the universe all of a sudden gives you this sign. There's a sign on the path in the woods that says, go this way. It will take you back to where you need to be. It will help to put you back on track. And so that's kind of what the Tower card is all about. So we should look at this as a positive thing that's happening in our lives, although many times when we're going through a Tower card moment, it feels challenging in the midst of it, okay? And you can kind of see this by looking at the picture. It feels challenging in the present moment, but it's going to allow us to get back on track. It's going to allow us to rebuild something that is something that we really do want, okay? All right, so that's kind of karmic number 16 in numerology too, more or less. So this is the vibration of the month. Let's talk about the astrological aspects of significance for the month. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about everything. This is just the highlights. The weekly Empowered Moments video will give you the weekly updates on this. But we start out right away on October 2nd with Mercury, which rules the mental realm, our mind, thoughts, ideas, perceptions, and communications, and information and messages. Mercury is turning back to direct motion at 24 degrees of Virgo. So this is a good thing, right? We had Mercury move into Libra. It went retrograde. It went back into Virgo. So pretty much the whole month of September, we were in a Mercury retrograde, more or less. And even though Mercury turns back to direct motion on October 2nd at 24 degrees Virgo, it still has to go forward and pass the 8 degree of Libra mark where it first went retrograde before it's completely out of its shadow. And that's going to be on the 10th of October, I believe it is. I didn't even jot that down. But I think it's October 10th when Mercury is finally out of its shadow. Maybe it's the 12th. It's somewhere in there. So know that we're still kind of winding things up a little bit, okay? We're still kind of resolving some confusion or miscommunication or anxious thoughts or doubts. We're still kind of resolving some of that in the first couple of weeks of October, basically. And then on the 8th of October, this is the Pluto energy that we did our empowered moment on. Pluto turns back to direct motion on October 8th at 26 degrees of Capricorn. So what does that mean? Well, again, Pluto is about death and rebirth, power and control, regeneration, transformation, transmutation, big changes, right? Empowering ourselves. And because Pluto moves so slowly, we have already been feeling this. I'm going to say probably since at least the last week of September, Pluto's been slowing down and all of the Plutonian energy has been magnified and on the rise, and it has just been getting stronger, and it's going to continue to become stronger until it turns direct on the 8th. And then it's still going to, for a few days after that, still be really magnified. So what does that mean? There might be some power and control issues, situations out there in the world or in our own personal lives. There's huge transformation and change and death and rebirth in situations and circumstances in our lives. That's going to be quite important for the weeks and potentially even the months to come as we move into Scorpio season, which is the sign of the zodiac that Pluto rules. Okay, and we're not quite there yet. So this is going to be, again, a very powerful time, especially because Pluto going direct on October 8th is one day before a full moon. The full moon is on October 9th, and it is at 16 degrees of Aries, okay? So we are in Libra season, right? When we have a full moon at 16 degrees of Aries, it means the sun is in Libra. Venus is also in Libra. And what's occurring, besides Pluto going direct around this full moon, is that both Venus and the sun are opposing Chiron. Okay? So it's almost like we've got Venus and the sun here in Libra, and they're both opposing the moon, where the full moon is, and Chiron, which is right next to that moon in Aries. So we've got this axis of Libra and Aries. Libra is partnerships, relationships, balance and harmony and compromise with other people. And Aries is individuality, independence. I want to do it my own way. I want to follow my own path. I want to beat to my own kind of drum, right? So there's this axis of balancing self and relationships that's coming in with this full moon energy. And it's pretty strong. Also, the day after the full moon in Aries, Mercury goes into Libra. So now we've got the Sun in Libra, Venus in Libra, and Mercury all in Libra. So there's a lot of connections, which I'm not going to mention all of them, but a lot of connections throughout the whole month of October with different planets to Venus, Sun, and Mercury in Libra. Okay, so it's bringing up a lot of things in relationships. It's asking you to look at your belief systems. It's asking you to own your power. It's asking you to maybe in some cases make decisions and choices that are in your best interest. It's also maybe bringing some confusion because there's a Neptunian influence there. But there's a lot happening here with relationship. The next thing of significance is on the 11th of October. So you can see there's a lot going on here on the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, with all of these energies. And on the 11th, we've got Mars the warrior, the planet of energy, action, and forward movement. But he's in mutable, changeable Gemini, so can't really make up his mind what he wants to do. And he's going to be challenging Neptune, which makes it even more convoluted and confusing because Neptune can rule illusion, confusion, and delusion. And in this case, because it's a challenging aspect, those keywords are what we want to look at or expect. Whereas if it was a positive aspect, we would say, oh, unconditional love, compassion, forgiveness, spirituality. But this is Mars squaring Neptune. So our forward movement, forward action, forward direction is like, I don't know whether to take the right path or the left path, or as a matter of fact, the middle path. Like, I don't know which way to go or what to do. And if I do make a choice, what if I'm making the wrong choice? And so there's a lot of confusing energies. And the reason why I bring up Mars square Neptune is because by the end of this month, Mars in Gemini is going to go retrograde. And so he's going to connect by a challenging square to Neptune again in November. And then once he finally does go back to direct motion in January, he will challenge Neptune one more time in March before he leaves Gemini for good. So there's something here that you should pay attention to. What's happening on October 11th when Mars squares Neptune, or give or take, a day or two before or after. And then whatever that theme is about, you're going to revisit it in November, and then hopefully there's some sort of resolution or final decision or direction made by March. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're all going to wait till March to make some sort of choice or decision or take some sort of action. It just means that there might be a little revisitation regarding whatever that situation is about. Or, finally by March, you're like, yeah, that was the right choice. That was the right decision. So don't feel like you have to hold off till March of 2023 to make a choice or decision about certain circumstances and situations in your life, okay? All right, and then we're going to skip over to, where are we going here? We're going to the 22nd of October, and this is when Saturn turns to direct motion at 18 degrees of Aquarius. Now, Saturn and Uranus for the month of September and for this whole month of October are challenging one another. September is the Lord of Karma, the ruler of delays, restrictions, lessons, karmic lessons. He rules the past. He rules third dimensional time. Uranus, on the other hand, rules fifth dimensional reality, future realities and possibilities, inspiration, innovation, change, freedom, liberation. And with Saturn and Uranus squaring or challenging one another all of September and all of October, it's been kind of, for a lot of people, that we're on the verge of feeling like we want to make a change, not sure if we should make the change, when should we make the change if we make it, it's that kind of energy, because Saturn past, Uranus future, when do we make the change? And I think that when Saturn turns back to direct motion, And it might take a few days after that, but I feel like that's maybe the catalyst point. I feel like it's a catalyst time period or point to where, okay, now maybe the delay is over and I'm getting some clear sign or, whatever, either from the universe or from my situation that it's time to make the change. Saturn does rule structure and form and manifestation. So it's about a restructuring process, sort of like the Tower card, right? When the tower comes falling down because it wasn't the right structure for us, now we have to rebuild. Now we have to restructure ourselves or our lives or our situations in our life. And Saturn turning direct is a little bit about that. Now, I'm going to stop for a minute and just say I think it's very interesting that Mercury's turning direct this month, Pluto's turning direct this month, and then Saturn's turning direct this month. We've had a lot of retrograde planets for the past few weeks. And when we have retrograde planets, it internalizes the energy of whatever that planet is about. Mercury, about the mind, communication. It internalizes, so now we're reflecting and contemplating and analyzing on an inner level when it's retrograde. So that's a for instance. Pluto retrograde, we're kind of mulling about issues of our personal power or taking our power back. Can we do we take our power back? Should we? And that I've given my power away starts to become more apparent maybe in certain situations. Saturn, I'm looking internally at these karmic lessons that I've created for myself, how I put myself in a box, how I put myself in this box of feeling limited or restricted or trapped. And now that it's turning direct, now that these planets are all turning direct, it's going to push the energy outward. It pushes the energy, it makes the energy more external. So I think that those three planets turning direct is going to allow for things to start happening on the external level, which is, again, this Tower card, where there's something that's happening now. There's change happening. All right, so a couple more things here. 3 more things for the month of October is that on the 25th, we have a new moon solar eclipse. So now we go into another set of eclipses. So the new moon solar eclipse on the 25th of October is at 2 degrees of Scorpio. Okay, just a couple of days before that, both the sun as well as Venus moved into Scorpio on the 23rd. And then the new moon solar eclipse, where the moon and the sun is in Scorpio at the same degree, happens. Now, eclipses magnify and intensify the energies of new or full moons. In this case, new moon, new beginning, initiation of this new energy of transformation, of death and rebirth, because that's what Scorpio is. That's what's going to make this whole Pluto turning direct, but yet it's going to affect us for the whole month more powerful, because this new moon solar eclipse is in the sign that Pluto rules, which is Scorpio. So again, there's some big changes going on in our lives. Transformation, regeneration, power, empowerment versus disempowerment, right? And then the last, well, not quite the last 2 days, but on the 29th, because there's 31 days in October, on the 29th of October, Mercury moves into Scorpio. So now again, we've got Venus, Sun, Mercury, and Scorpio by now. Whereas earlier in the month, we had Venus, Sun, Mercury all in Libra. So now we're transitioning into this sign that also rules shared resources and shared money and shared intimacy and shared possessions with others, especially our partner, okay? And then on the 30th of October, we've got Mars, that warrior planet of energy, action, and forward movement, turning to retrograde motion at 25 degrees of Gemini. So as he starts to slow down near the end of the month, you might feel like movement is a little bit slowed down, perhaps. So if you're going to make a decision or a change this month, you might want to do it in between where Mercury is turning direct and out of its shadow, and before Mars turns to retrograde motion. So you got a little, like a couple weeks window of time there. Don't feel, again, like if there's going to be a change or a decision or a redirection in a different direction, in a different way, in a different path, don't feel like you can't do it after October 30th, right? I'm just saying. It just, Mars, because it rules forward momentum, because he's a fiery planet, it just might be that the momentum is slowed down just a little bit, because Gemini is like, did I do this? Did I do that? I got to do this before I do that. So it's like on this mental level of trying to make sure that everything kind of mentally is organized and taken care of, which is kind of hard for Gemini because it's a little scattered. So, and the energies may be scattered too, even though you might be moving forward, it's just might be like, things aren't kind of gelling as easily, maybe. Now, once it picks up speed as it's retrograding, it might kind of even that out a little bit. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the messages from our angels and guides. The first card came out as 2 cards. And the first of those 2 cards is the 7 of Flames. This is like the 7 of Wands in the traditional tarot. The suit of Wands is about inspiration, creative energy, fiery energy, obviously, because it's flames or fire. Wands, flames, fire. It is the energy of spirit, right? Because we got cups rules the emotions, swords rules the mental realm. We've got the pentacles rules the material realm. And then we've got flames that rules the spiritual realm. So the number 7, numerologically speaking here, 7 down here. I was like, where is it? The number 7 is a number that sometimes is like not all the puzzle pieces are there. There's a little bit of confusion or a little bit of doubt or a little bit of anxiety or a little bit of fear or something like that. And the number 7, we internalize and we go within and we do some contemplation, reflection. We try to dot our I's, cross our T's, make sure everything's taken care of, make sure we have all the information, do our research. So that 7 of Flames is, in the traditional tarot, the 7 of Wands is like you are, you're wanting to protect yourself in some way. Like what's the word I'm looking for? Like when somebody comes at you, like in warrior attack mode, and you're kind of defending. There it is. So it's kind of like a defensive posture. I'm in defense mode. I'm in a defensive posture. Don't come at me. I'm still kind of unsure anyway, but so you're kind of defending your position a little bit here. But as I look at this, look at her, right? She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 wands down here. She's got 1 wand in her hand, 1 flame in her hand. But look at her posture. She doesn't look like she's defending. She doesn't look anxious or fearful. In fact, to me, she looks kind of like she's dancing. It looks like she's empowered and liberated and dancing, and there's still this internal kind of energy going on, and she still might feel like she's needing to defend her position, but she's very relaxed about it, and I feel like she's very confident about it, and she knows that whatever she's doing or whatever decisions she's making is right for her. And it's almost like she's having like this celebratory dance, if you will. That's what I feel like when I look at her. Whoops, can't seem to hold on to that card. She's got some red in her dress. So again, I like that because to me it's like passion and energy and vitality. And so, she's not feeling necessarily attacked or usurped of her energy. I feel like she's very energized and passionate about what's happening or what's going to happen, what decision she's making. And again, look at her outstretched arm up here. It's like she's celebrating through ritual dance or something is what I get that feeling of. But let's see what came out with this card. Okay, we have another 7 card, but this is the 7 of crystals. It's like the 7 of pentacles, okay? And so again, we've got that 7 influence of researching, making sure all the details are taken care of, being very self-reflective, you know, doing your own kind of meditation practice, trusting and having faith are keywords for the number 7. But again, sometimes there can be some anxiety or unsureness or doubt or fear if we get into the shadow side of that number 7. This is the material realm. So this is about money and finances and career and job and living situation and everything else. Isn't that interesting that we've got a tower in the background? So this rules the whole month. And here we've got a big standing tower in the background. So this person is outside of the tower, far away from that tower, with some of their crystals, which again could be any of those manifested areas of our life. There's some people way back here by the tower, but they're way out here in the field with a few of their kind of crystals or possessions, if you will. So it has that feeling of whatever they thought was safety and security for them, or whatever the structure in their life was all about. There's maybe some people back here that are still a part of that structure, but they're almost choosing to remove themselves from that. They're removing themselves from that, and they're sitting out in the field with those few things that are important to them. Right now, they're just sitting in contemplation, though. They're not necessarily moving yet. Right? So 7 of crystals or 7 of pentacles is like maybe having a little bit of patience, having patience and waiting for the right timing, but they're distancing themselves from whatever this reality was back here. They're distancing themselves maybe from certain relationships. And with this card, again, I feel like there's a divine timing with that number 7. It's like she's celebrating that maybe she made a decision, but maybe it's not being executed quite yet, at least in the beginning of the month anyway. We'll have to see what the rest of the cards are. But there's a distance happening, a distancing happening here. Okay, let's take a look at the next card. Okay, so you guys, we've got Major Arcana 6. Oh no, it's not Major Arcana. I just saw 2 people and I instantly thought the Lovers, but no, this is the 2 of Chalices. The 2 of Chalices. So this brings in some emotional stuff, emotions and emotional connections with other people. The fact that I thought it was the Lovers, well, which is sort of like the 2 of Chalices, the 2 of Cups, it brings in relationship matters, right? And we are in the first part of the month with all that Libra going on. Sun in Libra, Venus in Libra, Mercury goes back into Libra. So it is all about relationships. There's communication happening. There's, highlighting of certain things where there's imbalance or inequality that's happening, especially because of that full moon and Chiron being involved with that full moon lunation. So we're looking at self versus other. We're looking at our values versus their values. We're looking at what we want and what they want, what our needs are, what their needs are. And there's definitely, a highlight here going on in relationship. Could this be a new relationship coming in? It's possible. But with all of the heavy duty energies going on, I would say take things really slow if there is a new relationship going on, because there's a lot of transformational and transitional energies that are happening. And again, the eclipses that are coming up, the full moon lunar eclipse is going to be in the first half of November. So, there's more to come basically. But I feel like this just means relationships are highlighted and looking for that sense of equality and compromise and good boundaries and mutual respect and support. And, we're wanting that. And because this card was kind of previous to that, I'm wondering if in certain relationships, now whether this is romantic or family or friendship or career, business partners, are we distancing ourselves a little bit? Are we distancing ourselves and saying, you know what, is staying back here because it feels safe and secure, is that really the best thing for me? Because in reality, this might end up happening to that tower anyway. Okay. All right, let's look at the last card. The last card is, now this is a Major Arcana. This is Major Arcana 4. Now in the traditional tarot, it's the Emperor card. In this deck, it's called Reason. Okay. So here we have a wise sage, a wise man, right? Someone who's kind of kingly in nature because he's the emperor, he's in charge, he's practical, he's grounded, he's secure, you know, he's building a foundation for himself. Now, I feel like this just goes along with, again, going back to the Tower card, that towards the end of the month, we're being asked to use our heads, use our logic, use our discernment, use our powers of analysis, use our powers of reason to decide what's really in our highest and best interest, and then start to restructure that, because the Emperor can be about structure, form, manifestation, right? But in this case, we're restructuring something. And he's got his magical tool in his hand. He's very sure of his abilities to restructure because, again, he's the king. He can do it. He knows he can do it. He's probably done it before. You've probably done it before. So whether this is restructuring a situation, restructuring a relationship, restructuring an aspect of yourself, you're using your logic, your mind, and you're saying, you know what? I know this is in my highest and best interest. And you know, the heart maybe says something different or leads us in a different direction, but I got to be objective. I have to step outside of my emotional self, and I have to be objective about the situation and what's happening, because I do want stability. I do want security, but I need to have that within myself before I can manifest it in my situation around me, outside of me, in my life. Okay? I need to feel safe and secure within myself. I need to be grounded within myself. I need to know who I am. I need to know that I'm kind of in control, as the Emperor is in control of my own reality, and that I can, if I need to, restructure. Okay? Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the special message card depending on your stone of choice. Okay. So that first stone of choice was the labradorite. That's right. Okay, so special message card for labradorite people for the month of October. Special message for the month of October for labradorite. Okay, this one just kind of popped up. It's on the bottom, isn't it? Oh boy, karma. I didn't mean to say oh boy. Karma, balance, and justice. Well, that's the scales of justice, the scales of karma rebalancing themselves. It's pretty clear message here. And Libra, right? The first part of the month is the Libra energy, and Libra is ruled by the Justice card in the tarot. Now, this is not a tarot deck, but it really feels like that Justice card, right? Where we're talking about maybe the scales being a little out of balance somehow, right? The inequality or the inequitably, that's not the word I'm looking for. I don't even know how to say that word. But there's something that's not quite balanced, either within yourselves or within the situation around you. And this to me is saying that the universe is going to help you to rebalance those scales, right? There's some sort of karma that's being washed away, healed, released, let go. It might be partly to do with that Pluto direct or the full moon in Aries, bringing in the opposite planets that are in Libra, or as we move towards that solar eclipse towards the end of the month, that's in Scorpio. But know that whether it's within this month or shortly thereafter, that those scales of justice, those scales of karma are being rebalanced for you, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the special message for selenite people. Selenite. Selenite people. Okay, well, this one, I know it's on the bottom again, but it popped up. Oh boy. I keep saying, oh boy. These are really great cards. Freedom, leap, Uranus, opportunities. Remember we talked about Uranus in that square to Saturn this month? And although we didn't talk about Uranus at all this month, it is in fact in that square to Saturn all month. And so when Saturn turns direct, it's, you know, it's going to kind of set off some of that Uranus energy. And Uranus is all about freedom, liberation, change, redirection. Again, this leap of faith, new opportunities. And again, look at the stance of this person. It's like she's definitely freeing herself from what holds her back. She's ready to be liberated and move forward. Now, again, it could be a situation, but it could also be that you're liberating yourself from some old karmic patterns within yourself, some old belief systems, you know, those patterns that sometimes we continue again and again and again to experience in different relationships or situations in our lives. I feel like there's a liberation happening. You can finally let it go. And again, you're going to have the help of the universe in order to do so. There could be new opportunities to go in new direction, take a new path, make some sort of new move. Maybe it's a new job, maybe it's a new place to live. But look for some of these new opportunities, because once you set yourself free, your energy is going to attract new things, positive new things. All right, let's look at the set of Lemurian seed crystals. Special message. Special message for Lemurian seed crystals. Okay, this one's calling my attention here. Ooh, fulfillment and wish. So fulfillment of your wish. They all had really good card meanings or special messages, right? So we've got Aladdin's lamp, the lantern here. It's on the beach. The sun is rising. I'm going to say is rising instead of setting. So there's again this new potential, this new light, this new opportunity. Something's being illuminated for you. And of course, you know, as the sun rises and shines upon the beach, then you're walking down the beach, you see the lantern, it's the genie in the lamp. It's like you're going to rub it and get 3 wishes, right? So your wishes are being fulfilled. Wishes are being fulfilled. That is a beautiful card. It's sort of reminiscent of the star card in the tarot, Major Arcana 17. But I like this. So I like the whole reading pretty much, even though it might be intense and it might, you know, pose some challenges while we're going through some sort of change or redirection or whatever. I feel like we're all being realigned, right? Scales are being rebalanced and we're freeing ourselves and liberating ourselves and we're going to have the fulfillment of our wishes. And hopefully you just chose one card, but you know, I feel like all 3 of the messages can apply to everyone anyway. So thank you everyone for tuning in and hanging in there in this long video. The monthlies are always a little bit longer than the weekly. I send you all lots of love and light and much healing energy as we go through these transitional and transformational energies together. Let's all rise into our power and be empowered. Okay? Thank you, everyone. Namaste.